Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. We sit with a group yet again in front of a symbol that is known worldwide, recognizable, and mysterious. We are in Egypt and we sit at the base of the Sphinx. And what I wish to tell you yet again now is going to be so different than what history at this point in time agrees with. Are you aware that the truth of history changes with discovery? And so history is never always accurate. History is the best we can do as humans, the best you can do, in order to put together a puzzle based upon what you think you know or what happened. And so when you gaze upon the Sphinx, you will say it is part of Egypt. And it looks like part of Egypt. Not only that, it's next to the pyramids. Therefore, those who built the pyramids built the Sphinx. We told you last time we were here, dear ones, that that is not so. There are many hints that is not so. And you can take a look at common sense. The first is this. When the kings, the pharaohs, and their families built things, they built them together. They built them all on the same level plane of dirt. They were all surrounding themselves. Those were often memorials or tombs. Later you find the tombs going underground, but dear ones, the Sphinx is not a tomb. So what would you say the Sphinx is? Well, number one, I want you to see the level at which it sits. It is far, far deeper than the pyramids directly around it. So do you think the Egyptians, when they didn't dig for any of the pyramids, decided to dig this one? I'll tell you what it is, and it flies in the face of everything you're ever going to be told until later, when they can actually age the dirt. And that's coming as well. You know what it is? Get ready. The Sphinx is an archaeological find that the Egyptians found. Did you get that? You just came, many of you, from archaeological digs where they went in and discovered things that were left for you to find. This was a find by the Egyptians. And they started to uncover it. And when they did, they loved what they saw. For the Sphinx actually has meaning to them. And they realized, although it was far older than who they were, there were some magic things here. And the magic was how they could see their own history beyond what they ever thought they had. And it looked similar to the things that they wanted, but not similar enough. And that's the next one. Prepare for eye rolling. I want you to take a very close look at the head of the Sphinx. If indeed the Sphinx was buried and then dug up and buried and dug up and buried many, many, many thousands of years, you realize that in the process, you're going to see a certain erosion pattern in the body. And you do. And it's severe. It's old. Now take a good look at the head. The head should be every bit as disturbed. In fact, even more, because it would stick out through the sand and have more erosion than the body, and it has less. Take a look. it's the wrong head. It is typical and even proper in Egyptology to see the defacing of those statues and the faces of them when another conqueror comes in, because what you do is take off the meaningful things like the heads and the faces of the previous dynasty and put on the ones of your own. And you will see it throughout Egypt. We'll take a look, because this head belongs to a pharaoh, and it is the wrong age. So they decided to take this for their own as a beautiful archaeological find and make it their own with pathways to it, with the head of their own design of a pharaoh, and that is what the Sphinx has become. Now, when will this ever become common knowledge? And the answer is only when there's technology that will see age differences in the dirt. But there are a couple of hints yet to be discovered. Lifting moving stones is an art for the Egyptians. And if they want them to look a certain way and be intact, they move them a certain way so there are no holes. But dear ones, in order to lift and position, especially with rock to rock that's vertical, they drill holes. And much like even today's construction of cement on cement, there's often a rod between them. You're not going to find a rod, but you may very well find evidence of holes that go through the head to the body. Nothing in them, because what it was that they used to cement those has eroded. It's not rock. It was put there, and that's coming. So expect that discovery, and that will be holes in the head for no apparent reason, of course, unless you have listened to a Kryon channel. Does it surprise you that the Egyptians had their own archaeological finds? Does it surprise you that perhaps the Egyptians had museums? Egyptologists will come across an Egyptian find and no thinking will really be there to say, what if what we're discovering doesn't belong to them but was a museum of theirs? You see how confusing that could be? Because in linearity, even the most wonderful historians don't give credit to other civilizations studying the civilizations before theirs and having artifacts of theirs. And this is one. It's a beautiful find, dear one. And when you stand up, I want you to envision something else. This Sphinx was built, designed, and displayed by those who created it in full color. In full color. This was beautiful. Did you notice that surrounding it, it almost looks like a tub? That was a water feature. Indeed, there was water around the Sphinx when it was built for the reasons you'd think, so that it was beautiful. What a find they had. It doesn't belong to the pharaohs. I want you to see something else that has been speculation. If you've noticed that even the pharaoh's head has been defaced, the nose is gone. That means that another conqueror came in and defaced even the pharaoh's new face that he put on in the old Sphinx. You will see this throughout Egypt, dear ones, that the defacing of a statue takes away its essence. For if it is complete, even a statue is believed to have an essence, a remembrance of the soul. So by taking its nose away or scratching its face, you take away the essence, and then you can either put yours in place or leave it alone. But this is the way the conquerors felt, and this was the consciousness of the day. And so you're going to see a lot of broken noses. There will be those who listen to this channel and think how quaint, how crazy this New Age channeler might be. There is going to come a time when everything I've just told you will be in the books for you to read, and the children will know what I just said. You don't know what you don't know at this point in time, but whereas history never corrected it, technology will. And in many of your lifetimes, this will occur. Finally, this. The great psychic Edward Casey was talking about the chamber beneath the Sphinx. And all through the metaphysical history that speaks of the Sphinx, there's always this: a supposition, an idea, a tradition, that there's more here than meets the eye, that there are doors to be found and chambers. Dear ones, this has been looked at and looked at and looked at. The scientists, the archaeological ones who examine are not foolish here. They have looked everywhere. You sit here. Do you see the opening? Neither did they. What could this be? And I'm going to say this yet again. In this channeling, that is information given from one source to another in this fashion, so much is being done with metaphors. The quatrains of Nostradamus, all metaphors. The scripture you've called the Holy Bible. So many times the verses are metaphoric and not actual. The idea of that chamber was a metaphor. What do you have in a chamber normally? What would you find there? Well, you would either find treasure, or within that treasure there would be books. So the metaphor of a chamber beneath the Sphinx is knowledge. There is mystery here. There are things to be discovered here, not physically under the Sphinx in the way that he said, but metaphorically there still is mystery. And the mystery is of a civilization perhaps that understood that consciousness was energy, and perhaps when they built it they chanted. Perhaps there were songs around the building of them. Perhaps the sound itself resounds in the Sphinx. What do you think? Do you see what I'm saying? Consciousness is energy. What if it was in the rock itself? There is much here to look at and to celebrate and to appreciate. Go away with a smile and say, I know a little more about you today, Sphinx. Both of you, the top and the bottom. And so it is.